June 29, 1995. Orbital Unity. The United States Space Shuttle Atlantis docked with the Russian space station Mir, marking a pivotal moment in the history of space exploration. This mission, known as STS-71, represented the first time that an American spacecraft had physically linked with a Russian station in orbit. It was the culmination of years of diplomatic and technical coordination following the end of the Cold War, and it signaled a new era of international cooperation in space. The STS-71 mission was the 100th human spaceflight launched by the United States since Alan Shepard's historic suborbital flight in 1961. It was also the first shuttle mission in which a shuttle served as a crew exchange vehicle for an orbiting space station. Atlantis carried a crew of 7, including 2 Russian cosmonauts, Anatoly Solovyev and Nikolai Budarin, and 5 Americans, Robert Gibson, Ellen Baker, Charles Precourt, Bonnie Dunbar, and Gregory Harbaugh. Their mission was to transfer the 2 cosmonauts to Mir and return 3 other crew members, including U.S. astronaut Norman Thagard, back to Earth. The docking occurred 245 miles above Earth over the Pacific Ocean. The historic rendezvous was achieved through precise orbital maneuvers executed by NASA and Russian Space Command. The docking module, built by Rockwell International with U.S. and Russian input, was installed in the payload bay of Atlantis and functioned as a bridge between the differently designed airlocks of the shuttle and Mir. The module was used as a permanent component of the docking infrastructure for future missions. This joint endeavor was born out of a bilateral agreement signed in 1993 between U.S. President Bill Clinton and Russian President Boris Yeltsin. The partnership aimed to reduce costs, share technological expertise, and lay the groundwork for the future International Space Station. The STS-71 mission was the first of 9 planned Shuttle-Mir dockings between 1995 and 1998, known collectively as the Shuttle-Mir program. The scientific value of STS-71 was significant. The crew conducted life science and microgravity experiments aboard both Atlantis and Mir. Thagard's 115-day stay on Mir set a U.S. space endurance record at the time and provided NASA with critical medical data on long-duration spaceflight. This information was essential for planning extended missions aboard the ISS and future Mars missions. The STS-71 docking had important political and symbolic implications. It was a visible sign of thawing relations between the United States and Russia after decades of Cold War hostility. The mission demonstrated that former rivals could collaborate peacefully and productively in space. It also reinforced civilian spaceflight cooperation over military competition, helping shift the global narrative around space exploration. Technically, the mission validated many elements that would later be incorporated into the ISS program. It provided NASA engineers with experience in long-term operations in low Earth orbit, hardware integration between dissimilar systems, and international crew coordination. These lessons directly informed the design, construction, and operation of the ISS, which would begin assembly in 1998 with U.S. and Russian leadership. The success of STS-71 helped revitalize Russia's space program at a time when it was struggling financially following the collapse of the Soviet Union. Funding from NASA and access to American technology provided critical support to the Russian Space Agency, then known as Rosaviacosmos. In turn, NASA gained experience with long-duration missions without building a space station of its own during that period. STS-71 remains a landmark in human spaceflight history. It marked the first time that citizens of the 2 former Cold War superpowers worked side by side aboard a shared spacecraft in orbit. The docking of Atlantis with Mir was more than a technical feat. It was a diplomatic success, a scientific milestone, and a foundational step toward the global space partnerships that define human activity in space today. For enthusiasts of historical ephemera, visit history-collectors.com to find collectibles that might complement your collection. You can own a piece of history.